Welcome everybody to They Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Oz and I'm joined as always by Josh Lambert, Brendan Dunfree, and Tim Johnson. Aaron Peerless will not be joining us tonight, but that's okay because we have a lot to discuss anyway. Thank you very much once again. I'm just going to throw this out there to everybody who's checking us out live tonight on Twitch. We do this every week as much as possible, and the episodes that you're watching live on Twitch eventually become available on our YouTube channel, The Misunderstood Art Company. So check us out, subscribe, check us out. Tim, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, we are continuing the series of A Nightmare on Elm Street with part 2. Freddy's Revenge.
Stay tuned. Tim, please let everybody know the synopsis for this movie.
Ooh, that's hot. All right. A teenage boy is haunted in his dreams by a deceased child murderer, Freddy Krueger, who is out to possess him in order to continue his reign of terror in the real world.
Ooh. This movie must really piss off Josh because I'm telling you right now, it breaks all the fucking rules that they maintain and state in the first movie.
So the concept of bad sequels, I think this is what started it.
Okay, so Josh, obviously right out the gate, no.
It's a no from me, guy.
It's a no from you.
All sequels are the best.
Yeah, Josh, you're the one that's always like
House 2! House 2!
I'm just saying, make some
Star
more.
Wars,
But this
Mac and me
Loaded.
too! I want more! I don't fucking know. Josh and his Mac and me and shit. All right,
boys.
So the big idea with this movie, like you said, Tim, it's so we've got a couple years later. It's like 5 years later, according to the story. Nancy and her family are nowhere to be found. A new family moves into the house, and their son Jesse is starting to have hallucinations, dreams, hot night sweaty dreams, and angsty kid shit. Sexual dreams. And he keeps getting visited by Freddy, and this is where the scenario gets deeper. Freddy eventually starts to kill people through him, we'll say. And that won't
hold up in court.
No, he's going down for that one. It just continues the story of Freddy coming back for revenge on the families of Elm Street. However, it doesn't do a lot to explain. It doesn't do a lot to explain anything. Because, like I said, it fucking... Oh, look, here are the rules that are established in the first movie. Like nothing, again. Right? Try it again. Yeah, so in terms of the plot of this movie, I mean, it tries. It's literally... Okay, I'm just going to say this. It's not the worst in the franchise, in my opinion. I think it gets a shit rap compared to what it should. The movie does have some redeeming qualities, and we'll go over that as we go here. But the storyline itself is not overly bad. It's literally just the idea that Freddy can't be killed, so he obviously has a new victim, and he's trying to accomplish something different. He's trying to utilize his victim to get to other people, and he's trying to come back into the real world through that person that he's claimed as victim. And you know, there's a difference in how Freddy's trying to accomplish certain things. They kind of do the same thing in later on versions, you know, like the Dream Child. It's almost like he's trying to be reborn into the world and all this kind of shit. So it's not like it's something that they didn't try again. So it's not like they didn't try the idea of him being reborn into this world and work in the real world outside of nightmares and then drop it and never have it again. It fucking happens continuously in the movie series.
And I mean, I get it. You can only make them terrorize dreams so much. Like they had to come up with something new. What's his angle? This sequel.
Well,
Murder.
I could see them thinking that way for like the 5th movie or something, not the 2nd one. There's a lot of dreams to explore.
There are a lot of dreams to explore. It's not like everybody's like knowing of Freddy at this point. Like later on in the series, you know, people are like well aware that Freddy fucking exists and he's not just a myth. Like shit's happened. And
what I'm saying is like how Jason always comes back a different way. I think that's what they were trying to accomplish.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is like at the end of the day, you're watching a thing about a child murderer that's all burnt up, wearing a striped sweater with claws, killing people.
That's
Who
all you want to
cares?
see.
What color are the stripes?
Fucking
not orange.
Yellow and black.
I got one that's better tonight.
Oh no.
Anyways, yeah, but I just I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence with this one because like on one side I want to, you know, they tried to do something different.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. Right?
Yeah.
But they tried to do something different, but it didn't work. Like it's like they weren't trying to repeat themselves, even though the same basis is the same. It's Freddy terrorizing people in the dreams and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I don't understand is that like, okay, so in the first movie they established that he's coming after their kids, right? The people that killed them, right?
Yeah.
And he really only goes after 5 kids
that all have some sort of connection.
Their connection to the parents that murdered him. Makes sense.
Exactly. So what they could have done with this one, instead of trying something different, is go after a different set of kids whose parents were also part of his murder. You know what I mean? Like, because
in my opinion,
didn't they show a big
Freddy's
group of them?
That's Freddy's endgame. He's just trying to come back into the corporeal world. So his first step is getting Jesse to install fear back into Springwood, I guess.
Yeah.
Because Jesse's not part. Like he just moved into Nancy's house. Right. So he's not even really part of Freddy's revenge.
Wrong place, wrong time.
But see, this movie, you're right. This movie kind of does try to establish an end game for Freddy. When he's at the end at the party, and my favorite scene in the movie with the fucking flames at the barbecue, and he's standing there with his arms open. It's pretty fucking
I thought
dope.
You were gonna say when he puts on sunglasses, because that's my favorite part.
But he looks at them and he basically says, you know, like, you're all my children now. He was a murderer, a child murderer. So his end game isn't always going to be revenge because so many people are going to be killed. It's getting back to what he loved, which was murdering kids, murdering people. So he's just trying to find a way to get back at it is all it really comes down to. He spent his time doing some revenge. He kind of failed, but he didn't fail. He still killed some people. Now let's just kill some other fucking people, whoever we can kill. What I can't figure out as to what they think the logic in this was that why was it this new kid? Just because his family moved into Nancy's house? There's some sort of a connection because of the boiler room and the claw?
Maybe.
Connection with the claw, I would say.
Yeah, that's how I always took it. Like it was just.
It was in the house, so
Nancy.
Technically the house is cursed. Because it was still.
It's almost like it's easy for him to tap into that house because there's a piece of him there. You know what I mean?
The fact though is it's called A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, so it should be. I felt it should be a lot more connected to the first movie, Freddy's Revenge. He's getting revenge on people that weren't even involved in the first film, or so it seems.
But to be even more accurate, the whole series is him getting revenge. because he got killed horribly.
Well, I mean,
Just
I don't know that.
but
No, to start fresh as Brendan is, and to see this as part two, I'd have a lot of questions.
Yeah, like at least some of the same actors in it.
That's
Something.
what the big thing. Like this movie has very little Robert Englund. I feel like this was all a scam, so they could just not pay Robert Englund.
No,
I'm
can't
gonna
be.
look
Can't
into the
be.
trivia right
Can't
now
be.
about that.
But there's a bonus to this. So, as much as the first one is adored and loved by its fans because it's how Freddy starts, this, and we'll talk about this when we get to the effects work, this is where Freddy becomes truly Freddy in a lot of ways. This is where the
It's a
makeup
little more sarcastic.
this is where the makeup gets cleaned up. This is where you see more of the stuff. This is where Freddy comes into the light more. This is where we get a good look at him. This is where he becomes more sarcastic. That's right.
Well, I mean, when we were hanging out the other day, Adam, you were like, Kevin Yeager took over or whatever, right? Like, and his makeup was a lot crisper than part one, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is Freddy. Like when I watched this part, I was like, okay, this is more Freddy that I like.
Yeah.
This looks like the Freddy that we all know and love now, because the first one, it was good makeup, but it's always dark, obscured, like it's not a very clean look at it. And it does seem, when you look at it, very two-dimensional and muddy, in my opinion. Whereas this one, now we start to see the actual prosthetic pieces take play.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get to that when we talk a little bit more about the effects work, like I said, but that's where this movie starts to shine, because this is what introduces us truly, in my opinion, to the Freddy that we know. And it's just that it suffers from general sequelitis. Like there's a lot of plot holes into the movie. There's sequelitis. There's you come off of having
colitis.
it's like colitis. It's coming off of the major astounding success of the first movie, and it really does fall flat in comparison to that one when it comes to the general storytelling that's occurring. But in my opinion, the movie has much more that it lives up to. There's a lot more that this movie benefits from having a new set of eyes on it, fresh crew involved, good, really, really, really good and perfected makeup in a lot of ways. This movie has a lot going for it. It's almost like you really kind of want the best of this and the best of the first one to come together. And then you get something a little bit more perfect, is what it comes down to. They failed a little bit with certain things in the first one, and I made that quite clear when I talked about it last week. There were certain things I didn't really enjoy about the first one. That's why it's not a perfect movie, in my opinion. This one kind of jumps to the other side of the table. There's a lot that this movie has good going for it, but it feels in other ways. No. The things that they perfected are really good, but then they faltered on the stuff that the first movie got right. You know what I mean? Like they traded one for the other again. It's weird.
This is the redheaded stepchild of the series. Like
I don't like that
very
phrase.
peculiar.
Redact it now. I hate that phrase.
You don't have a redhead.
But you say that, Josh, but then you're gonna watch part 6 in a few weeks, and you're really going to go, what the fuck was I talking about when I called this one the redheaded stepchild?
This is the problem. I haven't seen a Nightmare on Elm Street sequel in at least 20 years.
Yeah, so
at least.
You don't know what the fuck you're talking about at this point.
Yowza.
I just remember this one being very strange, and rewatching it, I was correct.
I feel
my
like
adolescent memory was accurate.
They did this with fucking Friday the 13th too. Remember when Kane Hodder went in the guy?
Yeah.
What part was that? Was that part 8 or 9?
9.
Part 9.
9.
Jason
Goes to
Hell.
Hell.
Do you remember that? Yeah. Like I feel like every 80s franchise has that one where it's not even really them. Like
they get reborn through somebody.
Yeah, like what was the Halloween one where most of it he wasn't even wearing the shape mask. He was just wearing bandages. What part was
4.
that? Yeah, like
when he wakes up in the hospital.
Yeah, there's always one movie where it's like, we're going to try to be different. And then it's like, all right, that was horrible.
Let's just go back to the same thing again.
Go back to it, right?
Yeah, he wakes up in bandages, and then he gets like a fucking weird old man looking mask. And then he goes back to the fucking shape mask at the end of the movie or some shit. It's weird. All right, Josh, I really want to hear your notes on this movie.
My first viewing in about 20 years for Freddy's Revenge took place August 22nd, 2021 at 7:48 p.m. So it's been about 20 years since I saw this one. All I really remember is that this is the one where Freddy possesses a guy and eventually gets beat out by, quote, the power of love. I love the opening sequence with the pudgy little redhead just jam into a beatbox in the back of the bus. You don't make fun of the weird kid. This is how you get school shooters, people. Mummy,
Yep.
why can't Jesse wake up like everyone else? So is this like an established thing? So even before they move to Springwood, does Jesse just wake up in night terrors like every day?
That's a lot of sheet changing.
I get the impression that it's only since they moved into the house, but because that's when that they kind of state later in the movie that like he's been having problems since they moved in.
How long were they in that house for?
Long enough
mean,
that
he
the
still
father's
hasn't
pissed off that he
unpacked.
hasn't unpacked yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole house is unpacked except for his fucking room.
The little daughter is eating Fu Manchus.
I love that. Those are
Kinda-
on the
kinda
box.
Was that a real cereal? It
No.
can't be.
I don't think so.
The
On the
Fu
box, it
Manchus.
looks like Jim Carrey's Grinch. It's like this green
Oh
hairy
my
dude
God.
on the box.
I always pictured
really
it. It
want
looked
those
like
fingers
almost
out
like
there.
a Dave Lopan character. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
crazy.
The
Lopan.
Fu Man fingers.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
fingers.
The shorts on these fellas playing baseball are so short.
Unacceptable.
I loved when he pantsed him. I thought that was pretty funny.
This little
Man
jock
ass.
strap.
Nice
Yeah,
ass.
pretty funny. Coach saying assume the position. We have established already that this film is extremely homoerotic. It's got a lot of references and stuff that has made it kind of like a gay icon film for horror. And looking at it now, it's just kind of funny.
And the old Fu Man fingers.
Yeah. Hangs around at weird S&M clubs and likes pretty boys like you. Again, this film is extremely homoerotic. And again, this is the era of the mid 80s. So that's the peak of the AIDS epidemic. Like being gay was a scary thing in the 80s. Get this kid some fucking medication. Like you can't be waking up screaming every single day. Like this kid needs medical help. Cut to the teacher, literally talking about shit. That is the greatest cold cut I think I've ever seen in a film, where it just completely wipes, and then it's the teacher talking about shit in your digestive system. Imagine being the male lead in this film and knowing that you're going to be pit up against the much cooler and much dreamier Johnny Depp for your entire life.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
It's too bad.
I was just cleaning my room is the equivalent to J-Rock's I was changing.
I always thought doofy. Told you not to disturb me when I'm
Yeah.
not to disturb me while I'm cleaning my
Cleaning my
room.
Yeah. So your daughter, quote, went crazy after finding out about Freddy, and then you just leave the murder weapon in the house when you move out?
Well, yeah, the mother died.
She
didn't just
killed
leave.
herself in the living room.
Yeah, after she got pulled through the fucking little porthole of a window.
Yeah, the little
Mannequin
porthole.
style.
We don't know that's what it was.
That's the main problem with this series. You don't actually know what anything is because there's no way to determine what's a dream and what's not.
Did it really happen?
Yeah. Maybe the mom wasn't actually there in the dream.
Maybe she
So that explains all the inconsistency issues we have with this series, Adam.
just
You can
accept
just say
it.
it
and
was
move
a
on.
dream.
It was a dream.
Just accept it and move
It was
on.
all a
It's
dream.
all a dream.
Used to read up Word Up magazines.
Hey, Brady, you remember your dreams? Quote, only the wet ones. Classic.
Yeah.
The spontaneous combustion of a bird scene is one that I remember from a little kid.
Mhm.
I thought it was pretty good that it stuck with my head that long, so it must have been done pretty well. He just accused his son of sticking a cherry bomb up the family parakeet's arse.
It only gets better knowing who the father is played by the way. It only gets better knowing that it's Clu Gulager.
Imagine running into your gym teacher at a bar and he brings you back and makes you run laps. The entire premise of this film is weird.
I'm just going to say it. That was quite the attire that his coach was wearing, too, by the way.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, is he out looking for
It's an
leather
S&M
daddies?
A wet dream.
Wet dreams.
Yeah, the whole thing was just a dream.
Whole thing is just a dream.
Used to read up
Freddy's
magazine. I'm done.
Freddy's powers are honestly pretty confusing when you think about it. The gym equipment. So how was the gym equipment moving all around? The tennis rackets, the balls. Like no one's sleeping.
Who puts balls on like a cube shelf like that too?
Yeah,
You'd have to really.
You're-
It's just gonna roll off.
Don't question him.
He's strung up and getting towel whipped, and Jesse's just like standing there watching. He's just like stunned.
Liking it.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
well, what do you want me
Weird.
to do about it? Fight the invisible force somehow?
I can only get so hard.
I can only get so hard.
And again, this film, when compared to other 80s horror, has a disproportionate amount of man ass. And it's funny every time.
There's a lot of man.
There's a lot of badass, yeah.
Toaster's not plugged in. That's the get the fuck out moment for me.
That's the poltergeist moment, yep.
Yeah, I literally wrote down, that's the poltergeist chair stacked up moment. For me, every horror movie, when they're being tortured by a ghost or something, there's a moment where I say, okay, this is the point where I would get the
This
fuck
is
out.
it.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy said it best. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with white people when it comes to ghosts in a house. It's like, honey, this is great. I love this place. You know?
Get out.
Get out. Well, that's peculiar.
Yeah. Oh my. The girl's parents are clearly loaded. This is the coolest party and coolest house on the block, without a doubt. Biggest complaint about this one is the movie is boring without Freddy. And we go so long without seeing and hearing Freddy. Our screams are all he needed. Quote, I'm pretty sure he works for Monsters, Inc. That's his whole
That's a
shtick.
good
He's just
point.
getting
Good point,
screams.
yeah.
This film effectively removes everything you know about Freddy's rules. The Freddy versus the pool party scene makes absolutely no sense, but it is my favorite part of the film.
Mm-hmm.
You are all my children now. This is another moment which I like to think about. This is the charging moment. Whenever there's a big bad and there's like 50 people and they're all just watching getting killed one at a time, that's when you just bum rush them. There's 40 of you. You can take
Yeah.
them down.
No.
Spiders coming out of the wound. That's one I always wondered why they didn't use more. Spiders are pretty common fear. They're like one of like the top 5 fears probably for people. You think Freddy would make use of that a little bit more. Half of Freddy's time in this film is him cowering in the boiler room. Makes him a little bitch. Not a fan. I feel like this film was just a way to pay Robert Englund less money. And the double fake out ending. And those are my notes.
Nice.
I have an interesting piece of trivia about that,
Yep.
Josh.
Double fake out.
But
Remind me to bring it up.
which one?
No, the Robert Englund.
Paid less.
They didn't want to pay him. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Well, thank you, Josh, for regaling us with your notes. Let's kind of jump in here for a moment and just kind of talk about the special effects here. And I don't necessarily want to compare it to the first movie too much, even though I said earlier I feel that the effects work in this is much superior to the first movie.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Absolutely. So, the first movie has its own merits. It was kind of like a blind leap of faith that they took making the movie with Wes Craven and everything else. But this movie tries to jump on that and prove that. So, yes, full fucking credit to Kevin Yeager and his team for what they did was, I'd seen it on the Never Sleep Again, the documentary on the Friday or the Nightmare on Elm Street films. Where
You were thinking Never Hike Alone, weren't you?
Yeah, I was Never Hike Alone.
It almost came as like
Almost.
Never Sleep Alone.
Never Sleep Alone.
You almost said it.
Where basically Kevin Yeager admitted that the guy who did all the effects work on the first one never documented and probably took any good high quality pictures of Freddy's makeup and never left any of the molds, none of nothing. It was all fucking gone, destroyed, missing. So he took as many of the photos as he possibly could and basically conceptualized it and recreated it and made sure that there were proper fucking molds and just, you know, so that they could just keep moving if they wanted to. And his makeup
continuity with a sequel.
Exactly. And his makeup became the absolute perfect, the version of Freddy that we know and love.
Freddy.
You know, it became the Freddy, and it's clean because the makeup's so fucking well done, in my opinion, that you could literally have it busting with blood or just dried looking burn victim like he looks. Because in the first one, he looks gooey.
Yeah, very.
Very much so, right? Like he's still kind of like fresh, you know what I mean? Whereas in this one, he's got more of the dry look with like a little bit of sweat to him. You know what I mean? And then moving forward, he just looks like a fucking dried.
As we go forward.
Yeah, exactly. It just looks like they didn't make him as wet and gooey looking and moving forward with every sequel. This movie starts to actually represent a lot of the gags further too. Like in the first one, he cuts himself and you see like the green and the fucking worms and shit like this. In this one, he does the fucking infamous pulling of his scalp, which is fucking...
You got the body, I got the brain.
Yeah.
The pulsating brain.
The pulsating brain. Dope as shit. Because you get a good look at it too, right? Which is just great when he just kind of bends down and pulls it. And it's fucking dope. It's one of my favorite effects in this movie, actually. Because it looks like it would be fairly difficult to pull off. But in fact, it's just another level of prosthesis. So he would have had the normal prosthetics, but then for this scene, it would have been probably a secondary layer of prosthetics. And the pulsating brain would have been just a bladder effect. So there would have been like a latex bladder system with a hose into it, and somebody behind the scenes just kind of pumping a little like a little pump, and it just would have been, you know, expanding and contracting. Little things like the Freddy bite that turns into, you say that it looked like it was spiders, but in the version that I saw, just like the bad view that I had of it, it looked almost like just ants.
I couldn't tell.
Oh, I thought it was spiders.
But bugs, regardless, bugs.
Bugs, yeah.
You know, it was kind of cool because it just looks like they literally had some sort of an insect handler on camera, and they just kind of dumped the fucking animal and, you know, they went for it. You know, probably the corn syrup blood. You know what I mean? So it would have got them right to the wounds and shit, right? The problem that I have with the effects in this movie, the biggest problem, they took away for the vast majority of the film Freddy's iconic glove. What did they give him? They gave him just the fucking razor fingers.
Skinny little knives out of his fingers. They were smaller, less...
Yeah. And
fillet knives.
They just kind of like wiggle and wobble.
See, and I feel like that's that's almost like they did it because he took over someone, right? So it's like he doesn't have the glove, but then why has he got the fucking hat?
And then later on, why is it when his friend dies and he looks down and he's got the glove on?
Yeah,
it was all a dream.
Yeah,
but I will say,
Word Up magazine.
It gives me the EBGBs imagining a blade coming out and like through your nail, and gross. So maybe that's the effect they were going for. Like,
and I mean, essentially
like that fingernail and
that effect came back in New Nightmare too, right? Yeah. Like, and it's funny because, like Adam's saying, like it's not my favorite look in this one. I prefer the glove, but in New Nightmare, I thought that was dope because it was new makeup. It was all completely new looking Freddy, right? So for him to have it, but
I definitely prefer the glove itself, but the actual scene where it's going through the metamorphosis and his skin's just getting all like fucking messed up and stuff like that, I really enjoyed that.
I totally did too.
The chest bursting scene as well.
Yep.
Was like, it's kind of cheesy, but it's cool at the same time. Yeah.
And shit.
Yeah. I was like, but you can clearly tell that, you know, it was like an animatronic, like fake person up here at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't Buddy's actual head up there anymore.
What I did like about that transformation scene, though, is that it wasn't that it was just Freddy coming out from underneath him. When you start to see his arm slice open, it's Freddy's fucking sweater. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it isn't just like there's a
Pops out a little
naked
bit.
Freddy that pops out or some shit, like some little cold naked Freddy. No, it's like fully clothed and ready for adventure fucking Freddy just kind of steps out of this Jesse suit.
He's
You
all
know
full
what I
of
mean?
woolly sweater.
Yeah,
Mm.
fucking woolly sweater. And it was funny because that's very common. I see a lot of on the horror boards, a lot of people's favorite Freddy tattoos. It looks like slices on your arm, and the wounds have like the Freddy sweater showing
Sweater
through.
underneath. Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
it's almost like this is kind of like an iconic scenario that they're, Freddy coming out of you, right? That's so.
I will say some of the sequences I enjoyed about this movie was in that scene in particular where Freddy
Did he
comes out of
ask for your
Jesse.
notes? Did he ask for them yet?
No, not yet.
Then shush.
Tim,
No,
stop
I'm
being
just
a ball
I'm talking
buster.
about, talking about special
just kidding.
effects.
Just talking about the special
Jesus.
effects, Tim. Wow.
Freddy comes in late.
I'm just
Oh.
kidding.
Coming in hard.
It was one of those.
Just
and
kidding.
actually, I don't think I put this in my notes, but it's one of those instances where I was like wondering if I think the guy's name was Rod, maybe the other guy that
His
he killed.
friend?
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just call him friend. We'll call him Rod. Anyways, I was questioning whether Rod was seeing all this happen or if he was actually just seeing Jesse with the Freddy glove on.
Mm.
But the audience was
I
seeing.
thought that for the whole movie too. Like
Yeah.
we're seeing Freddy because that's who we want to see.
Right.
But
I'm
what's
much
everyone else seeing?
Yeah.
I was waiting for that, like at the end, that reveal, like, okay, during this kill, this is what Buddy saw.
all along. Yeah.
Mm. You literally
So
just
I
saw
did-
his
I
friend
did-
kill him.
I did enjoy that.
Okay. Well, Brendan,
Questioning my sanity. Yeah.
why don't you just kind of regale us with your notes now?
Okay. So, unlike you folks, this is my first time watching this movie. So it's at Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revengeance, 1985. Yeah,
Freddy's
directed
Revengeance.
by Jack Shoulder, starring a bunch of people I don't recognize, but they're pretty okay, I'm sure. The first thing I noticed was New Line Cinema had a new opening
Why?
sequence. It was more modernized, and the first thing I noticed was I thought about the simpler times. People were just socializing. There were no phones or technology,
And that's when I looked it
The-
up on my phone.
the regular kind of bullying, not cyberbullying, which is,
The good,
question I had is,
Stuff.
the good kind
where's
of
Elm
bullying.
Street? Yeah, the good kind of bullying, the in-your-face kind.
When
Where's
it
Elm
builds
Street supposed to
character.
be? Because there's a desert. So is it like California, Nevada?
It's supposed to be like Springwood, California.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know enough about California. I was like, well, there's a desert. So does that mean they're actually somewhere else, or they just film it somewhere else? Anyways, I thought the Fu Manchus was hilarious. I shouldn't have found it hilarious, but I did. And the fact that there was archery at the school was pretty awesome, but that shouldn't be allowed nowadays.
Oh, it
Even
totally
though-
is. My
Yeah,
Right,
I
it's
had
the high,
archery in
my
school.
kid's high school does archery here.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess
It's a rural
Sackville's
thing.
Yeah, Sackville doesn't get that shit, I guess.
They
I
don't
know.
want to give weapons to people inside.
No, we got enough projectiles. So he's living in the same house as Nancy, bars and all. That would be one of the first things if I was a homeowner that I'd take that shit down. Like the only house in the neighborhood that has bars in it. Seeing those bars, I would probably also question the history of the house a little bit, look into it. It turns out later the father did know or know a
Get a
little bit about.
smoking
That's
deal.
why we got such a smoking deal. Yeah. There was a moment where Jesse was wearing hospital scrubs, I believe, as a shirt, and I didn't know if was that just like a style? I don't know, but he was wearing like a nurse's with the pocket. Anyways, 80s, man.
80s.
I don't think he should have got in trouble by the teacher when he got choked by a snake, because clearly it wasn't correctly locked up in its terrarium. So that wasn't fair. That teacher just wanted to embarrass him.
Yeah.
Always getting shit for not unpacking his room. He should just like quickly, messily did it and then secretly organized it later or whatever. And then to let the murder weapon behind the other
weird.
family, which blows my mind, because that would be the one thing that you would, maybe they just finally want to part ways with it. I don't know.
But I guess when you think about it, the mother is the only one that knew it was there. The mother and Nancy. Nancy ends up in a mental institution, and the mother killed herself.
Yeah.
So no
I
one knew it was
guess.
in there, I guess.
Yeah. And then in my
We'll,
notes, I
we'll
just
accept we'll accept your notes on that, Josh.
I wrote Firebird. Obviously, it was pretty awesome. Although I will say that dad he acted like a bitch. Like 3 days
He
later, he
was
was still wearing a
cowering,
band-aid
yeah.
on his face. Like 3 days later, still a band-aid on his face. Cover this little bird scratch. It wasn't a falcon. Like,
Parakeet.
it was a parakeet. As far as special effects go, there was a lot of terrible uses, in my opinion, of lightning. Especially when like lightning came through the window and struck the dishes. That would wake up the entire neighborhood. Like that would be loud as hell. And the kid was just like, "Oh, lightning. Okay, well,
Well, that's
that's
peculiar.
unfortunate."
That's peculiar.
Yeah. Oh, that's not right. Dawn's place looked like one of the seediest shitholes I've ever seen in my life, and everyone there looked like an old prostitute. I don't know if it was just the makeup at the time, but that.
It's a
And then,
crazy
of course,
joint.
I wrote, the shower scene.
It only gets
What?
so hard. As
So-
Brendan so lovely put it earlier.
I can only get so hard. So I was starting to realize that rooms with red light are clearly influenced by Freddy. So if there's a room that's glowing red at any point, like some of these rooms right now, definitely Freddy involved. It was strange. Yeah, yeah. So skipping past the shower scene, because we all know what happened, really painful ass whipping. The toaster fire triggered me a little bit until I saw it wasn't plugged in. Just like my profession, I was just like, why is that toaster plugged in? Kind of thing. And it wasn't plugged in. You're right. That should be we should probably get out of here, or like had the church come in and throw some holy water around or something.
Possessed toaster.
Exorcise the demons.
That was a red flag. I have to mention the special effects on the fake tongue.
Mm.
It was bad. Like it clearly looked like a fake tongue. Like it wasn't moving. Like
It didn't even look like silicone or gelatin. It looked
no,
like a
it's like
rubber
he was
tongue.
holding his mouth and he was just like
Yeah.
wiggling it around. They repeated the trope from the last. I'm going to sleep. Wake me up when I start having a nightmare. Don't fall asleep. And the first thing he does, he's like, "Well, night, buddy." Like clearly shirt off. He's in his bed. He's ready to go to sleep. Turns off the light. What do you think's going to happen? The thing that got me the most was Freddy wasn't killing in his sleep anymore. He was killing through someone else via possession of some sort. Which to me, in my mind, Freddy was always the dream killer.
Mhm.
And he killed people via nightmares. That was just what I always pictured.
Yeah.
Then, as I mentioned before, did Ron see Freddy or just Jesse with the glove? Oh, by the way,
Don't hurt
because
yourself,
we got
please.
more budget. Yeah, I forgot. I have a glove. Since we got a higher budget now,
Oh, knives. Nice.
there's no spoons involved this time, baby.
Thank you, Patreon. We have a higher budget.
Yeah.
Those are knives. Stop that.
It's okay. He's trained for this.
Yeah. Parents, call the police. I made sure to write that in all caps. I felt that was important. When people started, when shit was going down, why wasn't anybody called?
It was the 80s.
I guess.
No. It's
And-
no need to disturb the police. We can handle this.
Yeah.
This is
And-
fine.
and I
just
forget-
figured he was all hopped up on smack, walking around naked.
I forget who said this. I feel like it was Freddy, but I put in all caps and in quotations, "Help yourself, fucker." Is that Freddy?
Help yourself,
yourself, fucker.
Yeah, I think so.
A lot of kids are going to need a lot of therapy after this. A lot of therapy. It was definitely, I don't know, the fact with Freddy being out in the open a little bit more, kind of, I always, again, imagine himself, he kills people via nightmares and things like that, that he kills from the shadow, not in front of a group of.
Yeah, this film kind of changes him from a psychological killer to a slasher.
Yeah, it took that interesting, that it factor away for me. The final sequence was very weird to me. clearly, the power of love saves all.
It's the power of love.
But even if you love Jesse, there's no redeemable relationship there whatsoever. He is not going to be okay ever again. I'm sorry. Jesse's not all right at all.
She's gonna have a really awkward moment when he comes out to her.
Yeah.
Because
That,
he
Holy,
is
yeah.
too.
definitely gay.
Because that shower scene was all a dream.
The whole film was a dream.
It was a
You
wet
should read
dream.
magazine.
It was a wet dream.
Yuck,
It was
yuck, yuck, yuck.
the
Because he
dream
was in the shower.
it was a nightmare. And then I just cut my notes off after that because honestly, I didn't really retain the rest of the movie after that point. Love saved the day as usual.
Love saved the day. Yeah, you're right though. There
Did the Care Bear stare and then fine, everyone's good.
that Care Bear stare.
I mean,
No, that's in one of the sequels. You'll see that eventually
Oh,
too.
that's
God,
pretty
there's a
much how they
sequel to the
defeat
sequel?
Freddy every time. They just take away his
The
power by
Care
not being
Bear
afraid of him.
stare.
They just do a little better each time. That's all it is,
Yeah.
Josh. There's no winning. You just do a little better
No.
each time.
I will say I feel my glove is better than the glove that they used. The claws that they used. These are actually thicker blades.
All of a sudden, one flies off.
Yeah.
Like
Oh!
I'm just waiting to be like, medic.
Yeah, but I have to call 911 in the middle of this.
All right. Keep screaming, bitches.
Embarrassing. Yeah. I ain't got time to bleed.
We got views.
All right. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. All right. Well,
Oh, boys. I know what time it is.
yeah. Do you? It is, in fact,
I'll take this.
trivia
This is-
time with Tim.
So, because Josh keeps bringing this up,
What?
this will be the first piece of trivia for Trivia Time with Tim.
Bait.
Sure.
New Line Cinema originally refused to give Robert Englund a pay raise, and an extra was cast as Freddy at the start of production. After 2 weeks of filming, Robert Shea realized this was a terrible lapse in judgment and met all of Robert Englund's demands.
What kind of demands do you think he had? Like really
More-
crazy.
He wanted fucking green and red M&Ms.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's like the
Or else he
notorious
wouldn't
one.
go
Who was
on
it that?
stage that night.
Who was it that wanted that?
It was Ozzy Osbourne, the brown M&Ms.
Is that what it is? Yeah, it's like a notorious, like an urban legend. Ozzy Osbourne wouldn't go on stage unless he had a
Kill
bowl
the
of just
shop
brown
owners.
M&Ms.
Had to kill the shop owner and his son with their own shoes.
Anyways,
Yes.
in the opening sequence, the bus driver is Robert Englund without any heavy Freddy Krueger makeup.
I wondered
fact.
that.
True.
Yeah.
This is the only Nightmare film in which the lead character is a male.
True.
True.
Yeah. Kim
yeah, it's true.
Myers. Kim Myers was allegedly cast in the film due to her resemblance of Meryl Streep.
Plausible.
She
Yeah,
did
that's
have
plausible. That is plausible.
resemblance.
She did have a decent
Mm.
resemblance to her. Yeah.
Makeup effects artist Kevin Yeager replaced David B. Miller, who designed the Freddy makeup for the original. Yeager only had a few pictures and the original film as reference, so he redesigned Freddy's look. Studying pictures of burn victims, he made changes to Freddy's look, namely bringing out his facial bones.
True.
Josh is
Michael
half
J.
nodding, so
Fox. Michael J. Fox was originally considered for the role of Jesse Walsh, but was unable to due to his commitments to Back to the Future and Teen Wolf. Robert Englund has stated that
plausible.
Freddy's Revenge. I don't need your fucking commentary.
You
guys.
fucking keep going.
you're
This
getting
is
it. You're
this
getting
is
it, bud.
my time here.
Trivia time with Tim.
Robert Englund has stated that Freddy's Revenge is his least favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
That's very plausible.
That's very plausible.
Very possible.
The movie's famous for having undertones and themes that are widely perceived as homoerotic. The events of the picture are seen by many as an allegory for Jesse's closeted homosexuality. While the filmmakers initially denied such a thing was planned, screenwriter David Chaskin ultimately admitted that the subtext was deliberately scripted in order to give the character more depth. Neither star Mark Patton, who is gay in real life, nor director Jack Shoulder were aware of this during filming.
I didn't get that at
Interesting.
all.
Show us more ass.
Wet dreams.
Heather Langenkamp was asked to come back. The producers thought of adding her to the already established story of part 2. She, at the time, was busy with a TV movie called Suburban Beat, but ended up in A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors in 1987.
It's plausible.
Well, it is plausible. It's fucking happened. She was in Part 3.
No, I mean the fact that she was offered to come back.
Mark Patton, an openly gay actor, has amusingly stated that he sees himself as the first male scream queen due to the combination of factors, including the film's homoerotic subtext, the fact that he was often depicted on screen screaming like a girl, and because he viewed the character as a closeted gay man.
Interesting.
The line, "You got the body, I've got the brains," was Robert Shea's idea. This is the only film in the series not to use Charles Bernstein's original theme, nor a variation of it. The film was extremely well received in Europe, as residents whose countries caught and loved the sexual overtones. This overseas popularity is what convinced producers that they had a profitable franchise on their hands.
They're just smarter over there.
This is the last film in the original Nightmare on Elm Street franchise in which Nancy's house is the focal point of Freddy's terror. The rest of the franchise focuses more on the town of Springfield, with the house making an occasional appearance. In the hybrid film, Freddy vs. Jason, it's referenced that Laurie lived there in Freddy's house, but the scene was cut from the theatrical release. However, it does appear in deleted scenes. Brad Pitt, John Stamos, and Christian Slater all auditioned for the role of Jesse. John Stamos ended up playing a character named Jesse in the TV show Full House. And now, Full House. Uncle
point.
Jesse. One of the inspirations of Freddy's look in this film was the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz. In Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, Freddy actually appears. That's a spoiler for Brendan's. Oh, I can't use that. The school used in A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 is also the same school used in The Karate Kid.
Really?
That's what it says. Or it's bullshit, Josh. You tell me.
Really? I don't know.
I don't know, but that's neat.
The breakfast cereal near the beginning of the breakfast scene near the beginning, the family is eating a box of Fu Man Chews cereal.
Accurate.
Brilliant.
Accurate, yes.
Jesse's car is a 1966 Dodge Dart GT convertible.
Dope.
This is the only film in the main series, excluding the remake, Freddy's Dead, and Freddy vs. Jason, in which Freddy, Robert Englund, and no one else in this film appears. That doesn't make the only film in the main series, excluding the remake, Freddy's Dead and Freddy vs. Jason, in which, aside from Freddy, no one else in the film reappears in another entry in the franchise, nor to feature anyone from. I don't understand. How
So this is the only
There's nobody from part 1 in this.
and nobody
film.
in this
Every
one
other
except for Freddy
sequel-
appears in any of the sequels.
Right. Every other sequel has at least one person come from
You
one of
wrote
the
that
other
shit.
sequels.
It's getting hot in here. It's getting hot.
So take off all my
It's
clothes.
hot.
It's getting hot. Robert Russler and Lyman Ward, who played the father and son, have been in John Hughes movies, as the former in Weird Science, and then the later Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Interesting. What can I fucking end it with? Freddy's only on screen for 13 minutes in the film's 87-minute runtime.
That's
was
like
the first
6
one?
minutes longer than the last movie, wasn't it?
It's like,
No.
The first one was only like 11 minutes, wasn't it?
11?
yeah.
I think so. And the body count for this movie was 10.
We
Okay, Brendan,
Yo.
think about that. What do you think might be false?
Oh God. I don't believe that it was 10 people killed. I think some were probably maimed. Some were badly burned. Do you count the bird as someone killed?
Birds are people too.
Birds are
Fuck.
people too.
Come on, Brendan.
Ass killed. Okay. I think the sweater was actually orange and yellow. I have no idea. I forget half of them already, but I do like Stamos' Uncle Jesse.
All right. So okay.
It's not a matter of what one you like. It's,
Yeah.
it's what one I
What's
hate.
Which
false?
one's fake? Brendan, a little tip. I usually take notes of one I find suspicious, and then at the end when he asks, I got a couple written down, and I use those.
I was just staring into his blue eyes. And
I
then
do
for a
that
little bit
too.
I had to take my headphones off. So for all I know, it was the one I took my headphones off for.
He stole your soul.
Mm.
Okay. Well, let's see what Josh has to say then. We're gonna come
I'd
back
take
to
Josh's
Brendan.
answer.
I got two that are kind of sus. I think Heather wasn't offered to come back, and I think that Robert Englund might not have said he doesn't like this one, even though he probably doesn't. I don't know if he would go on the record as saying that.
Okay.
Well, you can't pick two. You got to pick one.
I'm just saying those are the ones I find sus.
All right. Well,
Which one jumps out at you more?
What does Adam think?
I don't think that Heather Langenkamp was offered to come back to this movie. I think that they had purposely gone into a different direction. I think that's all bullshit.
That's what I think as well. That is my
Shut up.
final answer.
Shut up.
All right.
Put it in.
Let's hedge your bets and do that one.
All right.
All in.
Tim, we're all in.
Guys are fucking wrong.
What?
Knew it!
You guys
It's
are
the
right.
sweater.
Hey!
Yeah, you guys are right.
The sweater was
Um,
yellow and black.
What really makes me mad is that like there was so I'm not going to use IMDb anymore for trivia because I feel like you guys could be fucking cheating.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
We wouldn't do that. if you came.
I feel like you guys could be cheating. So
Where's the fun in that?
I don't
It's
know.
not
I
fun.
just feel like
Dude,
know,
I
that
get
was
like
really-
every single fucking one of them wrong, and
it
I'm
was really
cheating all of a sudden.
well-worded. I even went as far as like, if you look on her IMDb, she was busy making fucking Suburban Beat in 1985. Because I
Never even
looked
heard
that
of
up.
Suburban
I
Beat.
know, neither did I. But in case you guys were fucking cheating and you wanted to look up what she was doing in 1985, that's what she was doing.
Well, does that
I
imply
just
that
want to
we
say for
didn't
the
cheat?
record that I don't have any glasses on, so you can look at the reflection of their glasses and see what they're looking at on their screens.
Easy.
True.
I wouldn't do that.
It's true. But anyways, yeah, you guys were right.
Hey!
So, yeah, yay.
Yay.
Tim
I'll
wants
take
to-
that victory.
Tim fails. Yay!
That's a W for me.
All right, with that, gentlemen, it is time for us to provide our final thoughts on this movie. So tonight, Josh.
Joshua.
Joshua.
Honestly, like when I see a bad sequel, it usually makes me mad. And this one doesn't make me mad. It just makes me disappointed. It really does. It just
Arguably
it's
worse.
such a letdown. Like there's such minimal amount of Robert Englund and no memorable kills in this film.
Oh, that's exactly what I felt like in the first one. That you
Yeah, but at least the first one is the first one. That gets like
It's
a
the
pass.
voice of Freddy.
Because you invented Freddy and he got to become this legacy. This is just his bad sequel that doesn't make sense. I'm not a huge fan of this film. I'll allow it.
I'll allow it. Thank you.
I'll allow its existence, but I'm not a fan. I think I'll have to rate this one a G,
Oh,
That's
going low.
You go pretty low on the fucking scale compared to last week. Okay.
Well, the original it's iconic.
Is it though?
It gets
Mighty
the
have
passes
fallen.
on the stupid
Is-
thing.
Is it though?
It is
How
'cause
can you
it's the
sit
first
here
one.
and tell me it's not iconic? It's the first one.
So, okay. All right.
Without it, you wouldn't have any of the other ones.
Okay.
But
Good
you
argument.
also have to hold against it. Without it, you wouldn't have this one. But I mean, that's kind of a negative against it. But
Also, yes.
yeah, G is my rating.
G. All right.
Gee.
Tim.
This is
Give it an
nowhere
X.
as good as the original, but like I said earlier, I still felt like it was, an effective sequel. I do applaud them for trying to do something different. Because especially at that time, movies didn't do that. You made money off the first one, they fucking copied and pasted, made a sequel. And this one, they had enough elements of the original, even right down to the same sets, but they wanted to come up with kind of a different story and a different reason why Freddy, was doing what he was doing. Um, did they succeed? Kinda, not really. I was bored in this one. Like Josh said, I watch a Freddy Krueger movie to see Freddy Krueger. Like I g- I get I get what they were trying to do. I just didn't like it. Like I understand it. I just didn't like it.
You gave it the
Um,
old college try.
I did, and I felt like a large part of the movie was kind of wasted. That fake piece of trivia I made, I really feel like that would have made the sequel better, having Nancy back in some way, shape, or
100% it
form.
would.
You know what I
Even if you
mean?
went to like see her in the mental hospital or something like that.
Anything, even
right?
just like a dream, like a flashback, anything.
Yeah. Just some more tangible tie to the first one would have been better. I mean, again, like I said, I really liked that the house was there. Freddy's makeup was so much better. Um, I'm still on the fence with the knife hand. I do prefer the glove, but I mean, it worked. Freddy still killed people the same way. His one-liners are getting better, even though I did feel that whole pool scene, as iconic as it is, and how
It's
everybody
silly.
loved it, it's stupid.
Help
Like
yourself,
when the,
fucker.
when the barbecue goes to the top, and it's like this fucking shooting
Yeah.
flame
Pillar
that
of
looks like it's
flame.
from like a foundry where they like, smelt copper and shit. Like this fucking, you know what I mean? Like the pipe constant, like they're propane bill, man. They're propane. Anyways, it's one of those movies where I don't hate it, but I don't really like it. Like I'm just kind of going through the motions because, you know, I feel that the best is still yet to come. I like the first one better than this, but I'm gonna give this one, considering all its faults, it still has some pretty fucking kick-ass shit in it. Like the special effects were dope. Freddy looked dope. That right there, and Freddy acted more like Freddy. I'm gonna give it a PG.
Nicely said.
I'm gonna give it a PG.
Excellent. Brendan.
Well, I definitely thought the second movie in the series was supposed to be the best of said series, and I struggled to enjoy this one. Whereas when I was watching the first one, I was I was zoned in watching it. But that's when I found myself kind of like wandering a little bit. Like I pick up my phone every now and then. Okay, yeah, no notifications because I'm a loser. Okay, let's see what's going on with the movie again. And yeah, it didn't hold my attention. Like Tim said, it was boring. I don't recall if any of Freddy's killings was actually in the dream world. I don't think they were. They were all kind of real world. This is, anyways. Having blades kind of come out of the fingers was creepy. And the moment it happened, it was kind of cool. But then I was kind of hoping it would have transitioned back to the glove later on instead of having this, this burned whatever with these skinny little stiletto knives coming out. Just wasn't nearly as menacing as well. The blades weren't as big. It just wasn't as menacing as the OG claw hand. The fact that he was out in the open instead of killing in the shadows through freaky and nightmarish means made the whole movie kind of like a step back for me from the original. Again, I haven't seen any of the other ones. I've only seen these
It gets
two.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the special effects were cool at times. They really were, but they felt, too far between, few and far between. And then the fact that he was killed by the power of love at the end, as opposed to the power of, I'm not afraid of you. You don't, part of me was kind of hoping that he was faking it, that the power of love was working, and then he was going to, fake being weak. Like,
Surprise,
feign,
bitch.
feign that shit. And then she gets close and then, surprise, bitch. Like whatever.
That'd be good.
I was kind of hoping for that sneaky kill at the end or something to that effect. Yeah, like I said, it just didn't really capture me like the first one did. And I was a little let down. I said, overall, the movie was okay. It's less than a good rating to me.
I heard.
It's one of those things where I wrestle with if I should recommend somebody watch it or not, or just say skip it unless you're kind of into the Freddy mythos and want to get the full effect. But I feel like it's one of those movies that, again, I haven't seen the third one, so I don't know if they all connect or not. But it's kind of, to me, it's one of those ones you can kind of skip. So it's kind of between an S and a G for me.
Oh,
Well,
So it's not a
you
good-
got you
it's
got to
not a good
lean one
shit.
way or the other. What is
Yeah,
Not a
it?
good
pick one.
shit.
that's a big
It-
decision.
It's a shit good.
It's
I will
Good
say-
shit. Good shit.
it's good shit.
I will say, for the time and the effects and the atmosphere, I will give it a good. It's not an unredeemable movie because, like you guys said, Freddy looked great in this. The effects were really cool. The means to which he killed sucked, in my opinion. There weren't any memorable kills. The big pool scene, although it was one of the better scenes, sadly, it was a little redeeming, but just the fact that it wasn't technically Freddy doing these things, but it was Freddy doing these things, and it wasn't really explained. But I was really hoping for that M. Night Shyamalan
Twist.
bit at the end where they're like,
Hey, Adam,
oh,
did
it was actually just him with the claw the whole time. Like Freddy wasn't even involved whatsoever. It was just
Oh
some
my
like
God, how dope would that have
psychotic-
been if that was the twist and it was him and he was wearing the glove that he found down in the basement?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was hoping for
Yeah, no, that
at
would have
the
been.
end.
I would have. Yeah, that would have been great.
So
Then
maybe
you'd have-
that's what set it down for me was that I was expecting that and it didn't happen. I was like, oh, that would have been such a better way for that to happen. But here we are. So I will give it a reluctant good.
So if you were to, I guess I can't really ask this. You've only seen the first two. I was going to ask if you were to sit down and rewatch the entire series, would you skip part two? Because that to me is how you determine if it's a shit movie or a good
Yeah,
movie.
right now, like I said, unless you really want to get into all Freddy and fully absorb everything that is the Freddy series, I would say skip it. Like, I'm not going to say I regret watching it, but I feel like that was an hour and 20 minutes I'm not getting back. I'm not going to say it's like The Last Jedi or anything like that, but it's
not pulling punches
it's,
tonight.
Shots fired.
I'm just joking. I actually like those sequel movies, Tim.
Yeah.
Fuck
So-
you.
So same here. Don't worry.
Fuck you.
We're outsiders to
I-
Tim. He doesn't love us.
Fuck you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Reluctant good.
Reluctant good.
I
All
think
right.
next time Adam's going fucking first. I'm tired of these episodes where Adam goes last and he spends
I am
15
too.
minutes.
But every time I try to put myself first, Tim goes, "Oh, he's fucking putting
Oh,
himself
here we go.
first.
There's no pleasing me.
There's no pleasing Tim." So fuck you, Tim. I'm going first next time. All right.
Okay,
You
good.
can't win.
This movie, I don't feel deserves all the hate that it gets by any means. Is it a perfect sequel? Fuck no, it's not a perfect sequel. It improves on a lot, but it falls and faults on a lot. It didn't find that perfect equilibrium of keeping a great, write and storyline and atmosphere, and then improving on the Freddy character. Like, it just didn't elevate certain things together. And that was its biggest downfall. The movie caught a lot of hate because of the homoerotic and homosexual, undertones from the movie from the 80s and the 90s, and that's just that's bullshit. Because as a horror fan, You know,
You're
I
just
looked at it.
watching- I
You
wouldn't
just
get
watching a
that.
fucking movie. Like, come off of it. Like, if that's
Man
literally how
bun.
you look at this movie and go, ew, then there's something wrong with you, in my opinion. Like, it's whatever. This movie, the characters were somewhat believable in certain ways. They were just fucking dopey teenagers. There was some weird shit that was going on. Was I as attached to these characters?
No.
No, but I felt for Jesse in a lot of way. I always did think in the back of my head, I agree. What if the twist was really that it was just Jesse? Freddy was pulling the strings, but ultimately it was Jesse with the fucking glove. And that would have been fucking dope. I
That's
think
what
that
it
that
should
would
have
have been perfect in my opinion too. You know, in the end, we got Freddy breaking his own rules in the movie and kind of jumping into the real life world and just killing people. It worked up some good scenes. There's some iconic scenes and imagery in this movie. Like I said, it improves on certain things and it falls back on other things. You got to take the good with the bad. The one thing that always excited me about this movie, I come from the 80s, the whole VHS cover art scenario. The fucking cover art for this, and we got it in our poster, was always dope.
Oh,
There's
man,
one thing.
That's like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I picked these instead of screen grabs for the thumbnails, because
Yes.
those posters are like, they're
They're
beautiful.
art, pure fucking
Yeah.
art. And the best
Yeah.
thing that I always loved, the glove
Yeah.
on this poster. And
Yeah.
I was stupid excited later on in the series. And Tim, you know exactly what I'm going to say, because the glove basically fucking appears later on in the series. And it fucking excited me when it did. Because this was, like I said, this was always one of my favorite posters for this, because it really kind of showed that side of it. All in all, I personally don't think that this is one of those movies that you should truly skip if you're watching through the Nightmare on Elm Streets, because, and we'll get to my opinion when those movies come up, this is not the worst of the series. This is not the worst of the fucking series, ladies and gentlemen. This movie tried, and it had heart to it, in my opinion. They really did try to make a decent movie with this. They tried to cash in on certain things, but like, I can see the effort behind things like Kevin Yeager and his team doing this, and young teenage actors trying to get their start in Hollywood. Like, this was good effort in a lot of ways. So with that, I'm going to give this a PG. Pretty good. You know, would I watch this again anytime soon? Well, I'm probably not going to binge the Nightmare on Elm Street movies anytime soon, but the next time I decide to, I'm going to watch through them, just like I watch all the Friday the 13th when I binge those.
That's true.
You know, I'm going to watch them all. There's no doubt about it, because I'm going to show, you know, some respect and some love for the entirety of the series. Good night of discussion, and you know, 2 PGs and 2 Gs. We got kind of a real good split down the middle here of how we feel, but ultimately
Not a great average.
Not a great average, but next week is where we're going to see some pickup, I think, because Brendan, I can't wait to see what you think about part 3. And
Part 3's dope.
part 3 is fucking dope.
I remember part 3 being the one I liked the least as a kid.
What?
So I'm excited.
Maybe you didn't
to
get it
rewatch
as a kid.
I was probably too.
Yeah, you
stupid.
didn't understand it on as
You
many
didn't
levels
get it.
as-
Yeah.
It's cerebral.
You don't get it, man.
You don't get
It's
it, dude.
art.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on this live Twitch episode. And once again, this episode will be available on YouTube with the Misunderstood Art Company. We're also producing audio-only copies of this on all the major podcasting platforms, including but not limited to Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Music, etc., etc., etc. We're also on Patreon. Open up your hearts and your wallets. Tim needs that caffeine fix. Yeah. Wink!
Tim needs Tim's.
Tim needs Tim's. And until next time, Josh.
I just wanted to know if you guys remember your dreams or not.
Barely.
Yes.
Like,
Try not to.
once a week I might remember something that I dream.
I
That's it.
remember when I have a nap. If I'm like
Guys,
going to bed for the
You
night,
guys all miss the opportunity to say only the wet ones.
Only
Damn
the
it.
wet
is that
ones.
what the setup
You
was?
can only get so hard, Josh.
I already forget that part for the movie, so
All right. Brendan.
I still don't really know what I'm doing here, to be completely honest.
Just say goodbye.
Okay, bye.
All right. That's good enough. Tim.
Stay safe and stay spooky.
And until next time, Keep it creepy, folks.
Good night.